Video games have been a huge staple in my life. A lot of my childhood memories are centered around video games. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up, and the ones that I did didn't last long. So it would make sense that my fondest memories are around the things that made me the happiest. My earliest memory is when I played my first video game ever, and that was Sonic the Hedgehog for the SEGA Genesis. Released back in 1991 as Sega's response to Nintendo's Mario, Sonic was a major success when he came into the video game market. After the release of the first game, Sonic took the helm of Sega's official mascot, taking the seat away from Alex Kidd. Now, there's no doubt that Sonic went through a major identity crisis. He experimented with so many game types, he strayed away from the formula that launched his career. So, why don't we take a look back at what started it all? Let's see how well this game aged.
The plot of this 1991 Genesis game is as simple as it gets. Our protagonist, Sonic the Hedgehorg, is trying to put a stop to the evil plans of our antagonist, Dr. Ivo Robodick. Robodick has taken over the inhabitants of South Island, Sonic's home, and starts shoving these poor little animals into these robots called badniks. I guess they need some sort of living being to function correctly, I don't know. In an effort to rescue all the poor little animals on the island, Sonic must travel to various locations around the island, and even space to put a stop to Robocock's plans. Now, the game itself doesn't really tell you all this. You'll most likely get this information from the booklet. Nah, who am I kidding? You'll just look this shit up online. But that's the story wrapped up. I wasn't expecting a lot in terms of story from this early 90s platformer. Honestly, this has more story than any Mario game before it. Before we get into the controls, let's take a quick look at the controller itself. A lot of you are probably used to something like this, or maybe even this. But back in the day, we had this bad boy. Ha, yeah! A neck pillow with buttons! Actually, this thing was a pretty horrible neck pillow. Sonic's controls are a bit different than other platformers at the time. If you hold a direction, Sonic will start off at a slow jog, but if you maintain a steady pace, he'll eventually pick up the pace and speed through the level, eliminating the need for a run button. His main source of attacking is jumping on enemies and giving them a good bop on the head. What am I saying? He fucking curb stomps them. Doing so will destroy the enemy and release the animal inside. Destroying the robots and freeing the animals adds up to your total score. Sonic keeps himself alive by collecting rings. As long as you have at least one ring, Sonic stays alive. But the more you collect, the higher your score gets. Look at me talking about score. No one cares about the score meter, do they? It doesn't even do anything. Taking a hit without any rings costs you a life. Collect 100 rings and you get an extra life. I actually like this mechanic because it causes a sense of panic when you get hit. If you have a life bar, you'll most likely power through it or get risky. But with this, you have to back off or risk losing a life. If you collect 50 or more rings and make your way to the end of the level, you'll see a giant ring. Jumping into it will take you to a special stage, which is the literal definition of LSD. In these stages, Sonic is maintained in his ball form and you have to guide him through a rotating maze. Your goal is to get to the end and collect the Chaos Emerald without falling into the gold pits! These Chaos Emeralds don't do anything in this game except slightly change the ending, so I tend to avoid these when I'm playing. While you're running through, you'll come across these computer monitors. These are your power-ups. The ring one gives you 10 rings. The shield lets you take a hit without losing your rings. The stars are invincibility, allowing you to run through enemies and over spikes without taking any damage. And the shoes make Sonic run faster, which is both a blessing and a curse. I'll get into that later. If you start running fairly quickly and hold down on the D-pad, Sonic will do a roll on the ground and mow through enemies and even solid fucking walls! Jesus Christ! Call this guy next time you need a demolition! Spinning on the ground is a great way to pick up speed. If you run towards one of the big loops and press down at the peak, Sonic will gain so much momentum and carry that through the next section with some careful platforming. See, Sonic has a speed cap, meaning he can only run up to a certain speed. However, this cap is broken when he enters his spin. This, by far, is what makes the game so much fun. Literally, flying through levels as fast as you can to beat the level as quickly as possible. Now, you'd think with this much speed given to you, you'd be playing the whole game at a fast pace, right? Well, I don't blame you for thinking that. This game feels like it's scared to let you go fast without breaking itself. Let me explain. Sonic the Hedgehog has 6 zones, with each zone containing 3 acts. So that's 18 levels that you play through plus the final boss. The first zone is Green Hill Zone. Each act in this zone is a great introduction to how fast you can go, putting these loops in S-tubes to really show you the speed of the hardware and the character. At the very end is the first boss fight. Every boss in Sonic 1 is with Robot Nickel, just with a different mechanic. They're honestly not that hard at all, just learn the pattern and that's it really. This boss fight is a giant wrecking ball that he paces with while he swings it. All you have to do is avoid the ball and jump on the platform so you can hit him. After 8 hits, he's defeated and runs away. Then you release a bunch of animals from a capsule and beat the zone. After you clear the boss, you head into Marble Zone. If I had to give you an example of complete bullshit level design, this zone would be the first to come to mind. Not only does the concept of speed get smacked in the ash and shoved out the door, but the difficulty spike is pretty extreme. It's not the biggest spike I've ever seen, but holy hell is it noticeable. This zone is medieval themed, so there's gauntlets, lava, spikes, bats, etc. You slow down tremendously in this zone, because all those things that I just listed are thrown at you constantly throughout. There is not one moment in these 3 levels where you are not bombarded with at least 2 of these things, at most all of them. I specifically remember one moment in this level where I was riding the cinder block on the lava, and your goal is to jump off when the lava pushes you up. I missed the first time, and the first time you think, oh, they'll bring you back so you can try again. But instead, it just sinks in the lava, with you on it. So you have to purposely take damage in order to get to the beginning and try again. That's so stupid. That isn't good level design. It's just unfair. Basically punishing you for missing a tight jump that you most likely weren't ready for on your first try. And this happened twice! In 2 separate locations! Thankfully, the next zone is a gift from God. Spring Yard Zone kicks things back into gear with these giant pits to roll down and fling Sonic from. It feels so good to go fast again. Except, this zone also has its moments of stopping and waiting. But it's nowhere near the amount of frustration that Marble Zone caused me. The main thing that will slow you down are these platforms that slowly descend and descend in sync, like a buffering porn. While we're on Spring Yard Zone, I think now is a good time to bring up the soundtrack. Sonic 1's soundtrack is fantastic. Each zone has a piece of music that perfectly sets the tone of the level. In this case, the music for Spring Yard Zone gives me a carnival type vibe. I was humming this tune throughout the whole level. The only other zone that gave me any kind of grief was Labyrinth Zone. I fucking hate this level. More so than Marble Zone. Why? Take everything I had a problem with in Marble Zone, now put it underwater. It's even slower. The entire level is a maze of bullshit. I honestly find it one of the hardest levels in the game. On your first try, you will die. Multiple times in fact. Don't blame yourself, this level is actually just that hard. This also carries up to the boss fight. You don't even fight Robo-Schlong in this one. You chase him up, and every time you hit him, you bounce back into the water and you have to make your way up again. Oh god, my hands cramp up every time I play this level. One thing that actually makes it worth going through some of these bullshit levels is the presentation. The game looks great for Genesis standards. Every level is bright and full of color. I love seeing each act. They range from Green Meadow to Medieval to Carnival, Egyptian Maze. It all looks so cool. Oh, is that Mario? Oh my god, it's a bunch of Marios.
So what's the verdict? Shelve it? Or trash it? Well, Sonic 1 was a great first game for the franchise. It's bright, colorful, fast, sometimes, and the soundtrack is great, not to mention the presentation, which will keep you looking at the screen for a while. With that said, shelve it. I don't have a shelf right now. It's in storage. I'll shelve it in the next video. By the way, if you're wondering where you can play this game for yourself if you've never tried it before, it is available literally everywhere, but I highly recommend the iOS and Android version. It is a complete remake of the game from the ground up for mobile devices, and recently I think on Apple TV. It is great. Widescreen, HD, 60 FPS, I think it remastered the soundtrack. The controls are great, it's just great. Sonic 1 and 2 and Sonic CD, all remastered from the ground up on mobile, Apple TV, and I know Sonic CD is on consoles. So, not to mention, Sonic 1 and a bunch of other SEGA titles are on Steam, and they recently allowed Steam Workshop. So now you can buy the game at a cheap price and install mods directly from Steam then and there. It's a really good deal, and if you haven't tried the game yet, now's a great time to get into it. With that said, everybody, I'll see you in the next video. I'll find a place to put this.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much more for sticking with me through my hiatus. Things are starting to slowly look up. I'll post an update video soon with more information. Also, thank you so much to my Patreon supporters. You guys really helped me through tough situations. And a big thank you to my girlfriend, who you'll be seeing soon on YouTube. If you like me and my videos, then please head over to my Patreon and donate to help support me and the channel. If you want to buy some stuff, I got a t-shirt shop open finally. It's still being worked on, but you can go buy some shirts if you want. I don't gain any profit, but I'd love to see some of you guys wearing these. If you buy one, tweet it at me. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I'm on social media, so follow me on there too. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Here's a video I did on a Crash game, and here's one I did on a Spider-Man game. So pick your poison, and thanks for watching.